Hello, I'm Jerry Malloy. Welcome to my Play Right Away channel. Today in my Total Beginners course we're going to look at the first chord to play. Now the first chord I'm going to show you how to play is an E minor. Now the difference between major and minor is basically that a major chord sounds happy, a minor chord is sad. The main thing with a minor chord is, if you ask people what's the difference between a major chord and a minor chord, that being a major and that being a minor, they would say, sometimes they give me an answer and they say that the minor chord sounds lower. Well, it is lower. There's one note change within the chord to make the minor chord lower. It sounds lower, it sounds sad. Now the first thing I'm going to do with this left hand is I'm going to put the fingers here on the neck. I'm going to go on behind the second fret there with my first finger. My thumb is resting on the top of the neck here. This is the typical way that rock players play. Classically you'd have your thumb in the middle of the back of the neck, but if you watch guitarists you'll see mostly their thumb is resting here, keeping his left hand in place. So I'm going to put my first finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret, and I'm going to press with the fingertip. Very important, keep that finger up. The second finger is also going to go down there on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Now, the fingertips are straight. Very important. Don't let your fingers fall backwards like that. They really need to be straight. And you need to be behind the 2nd fret. If you see, my first finger is not as close to the fret as it can be. I would like it to be as close as it can be, but it really can't be. It's forced back a little bit by that other finger. So if I get these two fingers in place, playing with the fingertips and the right hand, I'm just going to strum all 6 strings. So that's the first chord, that's my E minor chord. When you've got your fingers in place, just go through and play each string in turn to make sure that they're all ringing. Sometimes you might not get the first string ringing because your hand might be touching the neck there. So if you release, drop your thumb a little bit and just make sure that this part of your hand isn't touching the neck. Your wrist needs to be forward really to make sure that you don't touch it. So there's the shape, that's an E minor chord. And we play all 6 strings. The 6th string is an E. We've got a B there, another E there. We've got the open G, the open B, and the open E on the top. So that's the first chord of E minor. Try and remember the shape of the chord. Just 2 fingers there, on one on the 4th string, one on the 5th string. You could play it that way with the middle 2 fingers if you want. Sometimes you might want to change which fingers you play with a chord because of the chord that's coming next. You might want to finger it that way or that way. Either way is correct, it really doesn't matter. The second chord we're going to do is an A chord. And the A chord is quite similar. The change is quite a quick change, so that's why I'm showing you these two together. Because when you have a change from one chord to the next, there needs to be no gap in between, it's got to be seamless. So for this A chord, my first finger is going on the 4th string, 2nd finger on the 3rd string, 3rd finger on the 2nd string. Now I'm squeezing all these fingers together, and again this first finger, very important to see that, it has to push back there. Ideally when you're playing chords you need to be as close to the fret in front as possible, but sometimes this isn't really possible, so if you're going to get a problem playing this A chord, it's normally might well be the 4th string that's going to buzz. So again, the thumb's in the right place, my hand's off the bottom of the neck. Now this one, as it's an A, the 5th string is the root, so we need to play it from the 5th string, so don't play the 6th string, so just strum down there. Get a nice clear chord. Okay, now the next thing to do, once you've learnt those shapes, is to try to change from one chord to the next. So if we're on E minor, really the challenge would be to play something like 4 strums of E minor, and then change down to the A, and then back to the E minor, and back to the A. So we've been playing something like this. As you can see, there's not a lot of movement, just from there, moving down to the A. You can even sit and practice without strumming, just learning the positions, pressing down and changing chord and changing from one to the next, just to try to get the time between the chord changes down. Do remember that the A chord is played from the 5th string. And I hope this is successful. You'll find that the chord changes take time. You'll get lines on the end of your fingers. As you play more and more, the fingertips get harder. You'll still get the lines on the fingers, but they won't hurt anymore. So it's a question initially to practice little and often. Practice for say 5-10 minutes, then leave it. Come back to it a little bit later, another 5 or 10 minutes. And just until you can perfect the change between these chords. Learn the chord shapes and try and get the movement between the two. It's tricky, but practice is the only thing that's going to help you. So, thank you for watching my Total Beginners video. We now have the chords of E minor and A. I hope you practice them, I hope they're successful.